It's a me, Grant Kirkhope. That composer bloke who did, Banjo-Kazooie and Minecraft Dungeons and My Rabbids and World of Warcraft and lots of other games that I can't remember. You're watching In Conversation with Amber Jones.
Hi everybody, Amber here. Welcome back to In Conversation with ATF. My guest today is an award-winning and nominated composer. Um, he is best known for composing the soundtrack to a lot of video games such as Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope. Yeah, that's a bit of a tongue twister. I don't know why I think that. Banjo-Kazooie, the Banjo-Kazooie franchise, like or like the GBA games, and then you've got Nuts and Bolts, then you've got Kazooie and Tooie, Goldeneye 007, Donkey Kong 64, Star Fox Adventures, Viva Pinata, Yooka-Laylee, Minecraft Dungeons as well. I can't remember which game. I wish I had it listed on my notes, but that's on me. Conquer Live and Reloaded, and more recently, not a video game, but the Kooky Trails franchise. So that honestly that we're definitely going to talk about that at some point. My guest has also voice acted as Mumbo Jumbo, Jamjars, and Jinjo for the Banjo-Kazooie franchise. He was also Crazy Kirkhope. I don't know what character that is in Yooka-Laylee, so I hope to ask him a little bit about that as well. And he also was the first voice of Donkey Kong as well. He was also involved in the casting for the Viva Pinata cartoon that 4Kids did, and a lot of other things. He's over in LA, and I'm over here in the UK. He's also British. It's Grant Kirkhope. Hello, Grant. Hello.
Hooray, it's me. Yes,
I
yes. No,
apologize. I stumbled over my words. I do
it's all
apologize.
right. I do too.
Fair enough. Fair enough. First of all, how are you doing today? It's
I'm all right, jolling along. It's just well, it's not early morning, but it's 10. I'm a bit tired. So I've been at a convention last weekend, so I'm old, so I get tired easily. So yes, but apart from that, I'm all right.
that's good to know. That's good to know.
Mm.
I was gonna say because you're doing conventions now, aren't you? When was your first convention that you were at as a guest? For those of you at home who don't know, Grant Kirkhope is actually represented by Celebworks, who I am very familiar with. I know a lot of their staff, so they now represent Grant for Comic Cons appearances. So when did you sort of get acquainted with them, and when did you do your first ever convention?
So it was like Phoenix. I can't say it. Phoenix, Arizona last year, like last March.
Wow,
Uh,
so very recent.
yeah, and we did no last year. So it's quite a lot. Not this year. Last year, last
Yeah,
March.
it's
Yeah,
still
20.
very
Yeah.
recent though.
So, oh,
It's
sorry.
only a
Yes, yes,
year.
yes,
That's
yes.
okay, don't worry.
Yeah, yeah. So and yeah, I bumped into the Alex Lemus, who's one of the agents there, and he said he wanted to represent me, and I thought it was crazy because who wants to get my autograph, or even talk to me for that matter. And so we kind of met up a bit later in the year, and then they started to book me out. So and then it's all kind of started this year. So I've been to Phoenix, Arizona again, Seattle, Cincinnati. I've done one in Pasadena. I got Houston in 2 weeks. South Carolina, Louisiana, Chattanooga. Where else am I going? Florida to Tampa. Uh,
Oh,
there's other ones I can't remember. I'm too old to remember, but yeah, so quite a lot. So it's been fun. So I mean, it's like I do like the convention circuit. I think it's you get to meet tons of nice people.
yeah.
And what I like about it most of all is that people can turn up there and dress how they want to dress and be who they want to be, and no one cares. And I feel like that's, this day and age, that's pretty special. Everyone gets along, no one bats an eyelid, people just do what they want to do. And I think that's a really great thing.
It's
And
like
some
Halloween
people,
really.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, but some people obviously have, some kind of challenged lives, and
Yeah.
that might be the only few days that they feel normal and be who they want to be. And I think that's a fantastic thing. So I really like that side of it.
Yeah, definitely, I do
Mm.
too because I'm a
Yeah.
fellow cosplayer.
Yeah.
But when you travel to all these different states, do you get to do a lot of sightseeing outside of the conventions, or do you just fly in, do the convention, fly back out to
A
LA?
little bit. There's not much. I mean, you kind of you have to. You get the day before, then you're on. Usually you get there the Friday, the Thursday evening, then you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then you leave. So not really. But on the night times after the show, you get to wander about a bit, and if you got someone to hang about with, you can go and get something to eat, or you just end up being Billy No Mates and eating by yourself. So it's a bit
Yeah,
of that.
that's fair enough. Fair enough. What about? I had a question at the back of my head. There we go.
Right?
It's just come
Mm.
up to me now. Do you hope to ever come to the UK for a convention appearance? Do you get back? Do you tend to come back to the UK to visit?
So I've done EGX once,
Oh, did you?
and
Oh, cool.
yeah, a couple of years ago, and I think there's a chance I might do it again. But I'm not sure if it's this year. So the guy that runs it, Chris String, I know very well. So he was in LA this weekend for the Summer Games Fest. So I met up with him, and he was saying he wants to get me back out to the UK. So I would imagine it would well for EGX. So it might be this year. We haven't got that far. I don't really know. He just said I wanted to get you out to GGX and get EGX again. I'm not sure for this year or next year. I don't know, but so I'll find out and let you know.
Ooh, will do. There, yeah.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I'm more than happy to meet you when I'm next back in LA. Whenever that may be.
Mm.
But honestly, just like as a Brit in LA, well, I mean, I visited LA and like I'm sort of more surprised by the culture. I'd say the culture, like how different things are. Like how different like the shops are and like all the Goodwills and stuff like that. Since living in LA for the past you've over 15 years, you
Yeah,
moved
about
out there,
that.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How is it sort of, what's the biggest difference between the UK and the US that you've noticed?
There's ton. I think the basic mistake that Brits make is that you think because we speak the same language, it's just an extension of England, and it's not. It's a foreign country that just happens to speak English. So there's lots of different things, like the credit score thing's a bit weird. That
Yeah.
your life is completely ruled by your credit score. I think when we first got here, we just had no idea about that.
Yeah.
The fact that like we lived on the East Coast in Baltimore for 4 years when we got there in 2008. So the East Coast and the West Coast are very different. The West Coast is a lot more laid back. I mean, I guess you expect it. Like when we
Yeah.
moved from Baltimore, everyone's telling us, "Oh, you're going to hate the West Coast. Everyone's so superficial and shallow, and no one wants to be you." That we didn't find that at all.
Mhm.
So we just found people to be super friendly, and it's just a more it's more laid back, But I think for me, the biggest thing is the pub culture. That doesn't really exist here,
Yeah. No.
because I think
No.
in the UK, most people can just walk to a pub from your house, probably.
Yeah.
We'd have to get, here it's so big that you really can't. And they don't really
Yeah.
have just pubs. It's mostly like, a restaurant plus bar plus chucked together. It's not just a place you just go to drink like in the UK. Most pubs you just
Yeah.
go to a night out. So it's mostly about, I guess downtown LA's got kind of clubs and all that, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's just a traditional sort of bar thing that we're used to. Um,
Yeah.
and also the prices are ridiculous and the whole tipping culture is ridiculous. And
Yeah.
it's like you just used to go up to the bar and just buy a drink, right? You have to put your card behind the bar and open a tab and all that nonsense that we don't do in the UK.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
It
bit
is.
frustrating and just,
Mhm.
I don't know, it's strange like that. And I
I
say that
know.
most people I say a lot of drinking and driving goes on here because everything's so far away that
Hmm.
everybody just drinks and drives. I mean, I guess us Brits are taught not to do that, and it's a
No.
cardinal sin, so we don't do it. But lots of people that we know just quite happily drink and drive and just think it's normal. So they're not supposed to, of course, but that's a bit weird.
Yeah, that's a big
Um,
no-no over here.
yeah, and also in LA, there's not the public transport thing's not fantastic because
Oh, I've been
yeah,
told. Yeah.
it's not really like I live out in Agoura Hills, so it's kind of slightly west of LA, so. There's a bus service, I suppose, but it's not, it's so bloody far. You wouldn't want to get on it, It'd take you hours to get anywhere. And there's
Yeah.
no trains from where I am into the center of town. So there's just two routes really, the 101 or the PCH, which is the Pacific Coast Highway, which goes down Malibu way. So, and they just get, it doesn't matter how many lanes you've got, it's completely blocked. So you end up not wanting to go anywhere because it just takes too long to get there most of the time.
Were you affected by the Palisades fires by any
So yeah,
chance?
so yes and no. So
Ooh,
we got
okay.
evacuated in 2018 when the Woolsey fire it burned right
Oh,
through.
right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Burned right through Agora which where I live. So we
Ooh.
were out for 4 days.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we got evacuated. We get a text from the sheriff saying everybody out. So it was like when we left, the ash was falling like snow. It was super scary. So and the fire got 50 feet from the front door, but they managed to save the house.
Oh,
Yeah, I know it was crazy.
that's good. That's good.
They had fire trucks right up the street. We face a hill. We
Wow.
face a hill, and we're kind of the first point of contact from the fire. But it's always the same when the Santa Ana winds blow. Right, they always blow from the northeast to southwest. It's across like
Yeah.
that. So
Hmm.
we know that a fire starts above Agora. If you look at the map, slightly to the right, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So because it just blows straight across. Right, the winds are. I think being a Brit, when it's windy in the UK, it's like so what? But when it's windy here, it's absolutely everybody absolutely craps it because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like that's when the fires kick off. It's always the winds that do it. So and well, the power lines are above ground here; they're not underground like in the UK. So and they're all uninsulated. So a slightest branch touches a power cable, it causes a spark, and that's what causes most of the fires. And,
Ooh,
al- and
yeah.
also, and I've caught quite a few arsonists over the last few years. When I first got here, 2012, it was nowhere near as bad. It's got worse and worse every year. And they have caught, as I say, a few arsonists now. So the people set the fires for a laugh. Just, burn entire neighborhoods down and all that. So it's pretty dreadful.
It's
Um,
crazy.
but like the Palisades fire, I've got two mates that lost everything in those fires, but houses burnt to the ground.
Oh no.
Yeah, dreadful. It's heartbreaking. And then,
That's not
but
good.
I was
No,
actually
no, no.
this year. I'd been to Prague to record an orchestra thing, and I was on the flight on the way home. When the Palisades fire broke out, so I
Oh,
had Wi-Fi on the planes, and my wife was going. The fires had gone crazy, and a fire kicked off right next to Agora called the Kenneth Fire, and I thought, oh my God, my kids are both away at the moment, so she had to pack up all the valuables and stuff and get them into the
oh
car,
my
ready to
goodness.
evacuate. But just as we landed. They managed to get that fire under control, so it didn't get to Agora, but it was super
That's
close.
good.
Mm.
That's good. They got it under control.
So yeah, it's fantastic living here, apart from the fires and the earthquakes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I can't wait to get back out there as well myself. But that's enough about me. Let's talk about you, Grant. I'd like
Right.
to know how you sort of got started as a composer. Essentially, sort of, did you always want to be a composer? Did you, is that not what you had your career path on, specifically in music or anything like that? How did you get started in your career?
So I never wanted to be a composer ever. So
Okay.
it was
Thank you,
like,
everybody. Good night.
well, no, but it was it's a weird thing, right? So like I went through school, played recorder and trumpet and whatever, and taught myself guitar at 12 or something like that. And I got to the Royal Northern College of Music as a music degree as a trumpet player
Mhm.
and passed, surprisingly enough. But after that finished, I didn't really want to play trumpet, but I ended up having to play it. So I wanted to be in a metal band, really, as I wanted to do. So I spent the next 11 years really playing in rock bands and stuff. Like some did well, some did not so well. So I had some of my own metal bands that are kind of indie deals. I played trumpet for a UK band called Little Angels, who were quite a big UK rock band. They had like a number one album over there. And we used to do these gigantic tours. So we'd be the opening act for like Bon Jovi and Van Halen
Yeah.
and Brad Adams and ZZ Top and playing the old Wembley Stadium. And, we did like 6 weeks Bon Jovi tour around Europe, to play to like 90,000 seat arenas. It was incredible. Van Halen
Yeah.
equally the same thing. And like, we did this gigantic
Yeah.
rock and roll lifestyle. So it was fantastic fun.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
as things go, bands break up and that was it. So I got to like 32 or something, still living at home with my mother in Knaresborough, North Yorkshire. And uh, I played in local bands, and a mate of mine who played keyboards in the local bands called Robin Beanland. He announced he'd got a job, and like no one that I knew got a job. Everyone that I knew just played in bands and signed on the dole most of the time. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, he said, I'm going to work at Rare and write music for video games. And I thought, that's incredible. So off he went. And he'd been there about a year and a half. So, Grant, you've been on and off the door for 11 years, which I had. He said, don't you think you should get a job? And I was like, well, what can I do? He said, well, you could try writing music for video games like I'm doing. I was like, well, I guess I could give it a go. So he recommended a bit of gear, bought an Atari ST computer with 1 meg of RAM,
Mhm.
like a synth module. And I sent Rare 5 cassette tapes over the course of 93, 94-ish, and then never got a reply. And then out of the blue, got a letter saying, please come for an interview, and I got the job. So
Ooh.
it was the most fluky thing ever. And like I say, when I was at college, I failed the harmony exam 3 years out of four. So I was so bad at harmony. So the fact that I'm a composer is, still bewildering to me to this day.
That's so funny. I love that. I love that. One of my questions was, how did you sort of come to be at Rareware? Like, how were you introduced to that
Right.
company and what were they doing? Because I think, no, that's a entirely different company I'm thinking about. My first thought was Lemmings. I was like, no, that's the one that's in Scotland. I can't remember what they were
No,
called, but
isn't that Team 17 in Doncaster?
I think so. I don't know, but they
Is
were
that
they were what is
Lemmings?
now Rockstar North.
Oh no, yeah, that's not Lemmings. They have a different thing that's similar.
I
Yeah, no,
can't
I know,
remember. I can't.
I know who you
Maybe
mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because they're in Dundee, right?
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Rockstar. I think it's Edinburgh. It's
Edinburgh. No, sorry, they're in Leith in Edinburgh, but there was a big tech hub in Dundee for a
DMA
while.
Design. That's what it was
That's right.
called.
That's
Sorry.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So when you started working for Rareware, were you working essentially as a staff member or as a freelancer?
No, Res was all staff company, so we all worked as staff composers.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
so it was like a proper, 9 to 5 thing. So yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why.
No,
I
sorry,
was
that
just
was
look.
it.
Oh, this is broken. um, when it comes to Banjo-Kazooie, well, did you work on anything before Banjo, or was Banjo your first job?
So the first thing I had to do was I had to convert Dave Wise's music from Donkey Kong Country to Diddy Kong's Quest to work on the
Oh
original
yeah, because
Game
they
Boy.
did Donkey Kong. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry. That's
that
me
was like
being
yeah,
uneducated. Yeah.
yeah, that was like, giant. So that first DKC game was like revolutionary. It sold 10 million copies and changed the industry. So yeah, so I had to convert the music from the SNES to work on the Game Boy, which was pretty hard. And then I thought I couldn't do it. And then but then I got given Goldeneye to do, and
Yeah.
then Banjo's next.
Nice, nice. And how did you sort of become the voice of Donkey Kong? Was it, were you asked as a favor, or how did you sort of thing
So that
that
was
and
later.
then
That yes, that was
promoted?
DK64. So yeah, the I did it because nobody else wanted to do it. That's the reason I did it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And it was one of those things where nobody wanted to do anything back then. So to make it quick, I just set a mic up in my office and record myself and stick it in the game and just not worry about it. So it was bizarre that Nintendo used it for a little while in games after that.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, I'm just doing it because nobody else wants to, which is what happened most of the time.
Yeah, and with Banjo, you voiced obviously people like, well, say characters like Mumbo Jumbo,
Yeah,
Jamjars,
yeah,
the little ginger characters. Was that also because no one else wanted to do it, or were you just
yeah.
how?
So Chris Sutherland was like he was the lead programmer
Oh,
on
Chris,
Banjo.
I've
But
had him on
yeah,
my show. He's so,
yeah,
well, man, he's
yeah, he's
awesome.
great. But like he's great at voices, right? So he did quite a lot of voices at Rare. But so
Yeah.
he did Banjo-Kazooie, and I just filled in the gaps. I think we had some other people do other stuff, but a lot of the stuff was me on that game. Like from apart from Banjo-Kazooie, I think I did
Yeah,
quite a bit of it.
Christopher was Gruntilda.
The Witch, yeah, Chris Seeley, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he's great. He's great.
that's Viva. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I've got to ask now. This is so funny. This is this one thing that's been sticking out of my head. The little ginger characters, when it says you voice them, is that
yeah.
like when they're sort of standing idle and they go like help or something like that?
Yeah, they did that, and they also go Jinjo like that. My voice has gone
Jinjo!
from the weekend talking so much, but
That's
yeah.
okay,
So
don't worry.
yeah, I did
So
all. Yeah, I did
that
all.
is all you. Okay.
It is indeed.
I love that. I just like because I remember first playing banjo a few years ago, and I just thought the Jinjos yelling just help was just the funniest thing ever, and just like wow, and just the fact that they brought you back essentially they brought you back for Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, but I mean they
Yeah,
recycled your lines,
yeah,
but they brought you back as a composer, right,
right.
to
Yeah.
remix. Yeah,
So yeah, so that was a bit like uh the Smash composers are all really good. So I was kind of I didn't know why they asked me to do anything at all because they don't need me to do anything because they're really
yeah,
great at the Smash. But I think they wanted me to do they just like you do one tune and pick anything you want. So I just picked Spiral Mountain because I thought, well, I'll just pick that one. But
yeah,
then once I did it turned out the level was Spiral Mountain, so it was quite a good coincidence. And then
yeah.
they liked the piece so much they used it for the trailer, which was amazing. So that was a really one of those amazing moments in your life, and you think, I'm never going to forget that. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Back to the
Mm.
voices real quick. I was wondering how they were sort of done because um they're like little samples and stuff like little noises and they're all spliced together. Like, Mumbo Jumbo's like Ekum Bokum, just like up, something like that. How
Right.
how did you sort of do them? Did you just do like noises into a microphone and then they were all spliced together? Or how
Yeah.
did
So
you
like back in those days, you used to do all the sound effects and all the music. So you had a game to yourself, so you did everything. So I just did the Mumbo Jumbo was just like. They come and have a go if you think you're hard enough, football chant in the UK, that thing,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think that if you're too young for that, but that used to be the chant at the football matches, right? So I just
Yeah.
took that and just did it like, come on, have a go if you think you're hard enough like that. And I stuck it
Mhm.
in the game. It's in a so the Mayhem Tampa, which was in the second game, was supposed to be it was in the first supposed to be in the first game, but it didn't make it. We didn't get it done in time. But the voice samples were already there, so I just used those voice samples. So I just rearranged them in a different. They were cut into phrases that come on, up, go, like little snippets like that. And then
Yeah.
Mumbo's talking voice was those samples just played randomly in
Yeah.
random order. But then I found out if I rearranged it, it made Ekum Bokum, so I just thought that sounded cool. So I stuck that in the game as his thing. Um, and of course, Uminaka was just a phrase, a complete phrase. But yeah, that was just we did everything those days was so small because the memory was tiny, so you had to make
Mhm.
everything super economical.
That's so cool. I
Mm.
love that. So I love that. It's so awesome.
Mm.
Thank you for explaining that, Grant. That's awesome. Um, Going to Banjo-Tooie, now the voice of Jamjars. I can't for the life of me, I can't remember how Jamjars sounds, but isn't he like a sort of like a something like that?
It's like
He's the
yeah, it's supposed to like a sergeant major.
yes,
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Was
yeah,
that the sort of same sort of
yeah.
thing you did? So yeah.
Yeah, but the whole talking voices in those two games was that kind of weird thing we did, but we couldn't possibly fit like speech into the memory. It was just too gigantic, so we had to find a way to
Yeah.
make them talk. So I ended up just kind of messing around with this and got a system where each character would have a certain amount of samples, and they'd play
Mhm.
in a random order, and it'd give them a little random pitch, so they'd be slightly deviate a little bit to make so they didn't sound too robotic.
Yeah.
And then we
Hmm.
realized that it would just go, which didn't sound like speech. So then we worked out that if we did it with the same rhythm as the syllables, so the system in the game would pick up syllables and it plays samples in that. So it got, because human voice is like like that, right?
Yeah.
So that made the
Hmm.
samples behave the same way. And then we
Yep.
realized that you can't have two samples at once because human voice can't make more than one sound at once. So when if a sample played and it was hanging over to when the next sample started, it would cut the first sample. So that made
Yeah.
it give it that kind of speech rhythm. It sounds pretty dreadful, but it was the best we could do at the time.
It's honestly it then obviously turned out sounding great because
Right,
to
but
this
it's when I
day,
went to do the Mario Rabbids games. I went to Paris to meet with the dev team,
Mhm.
and they were saying, "Yeah, the banjo speech is iconic," and I was like, "Are you deaf?" Like, I was like, so it's pretty crazy that some of these things that you do and think, "Oh my God, this is dreadful," becomes iconic 25 years later.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a cult classic,
Yeah, you've got
At
to,
the
yeah,
time it wasn't successful then, it was successful. I
yeah,
can't
you've got
remember
to
the
wait
show,
30
but yeah.
years, mind you. You have to live that long.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Jumping over to Viva Pinata.
right.
I'd like to talk a tiny little bit about the Four Kids animated series because it says online you were involved in the casting. So what was the story behind the whole casting for that? Because it was a Four Kids production, it was obviously voice actors from New York and not like the West Coast, like in
Right,
LA. So
right.
what's the story behind the casting of
So
Viva Pinata?
I don't remember being involved in the casting. So maybe the rare was the people
Oh, okay.
I wasn't. But the only thing
Oh,
I did
okay.
was I wrote. So I gave them all the music from the game, so they used it in the cartoon. But also I wrote the credits tune at the end on the way out. I'm not credited with it, but I did that. So we went to New York and recorded the main four voice actors to sing it. And I bumped into one of those guys at a convention actually, the guy that plays the Fizzly Bear, the
Mhm.
kind of surf dude bear, like convention before last. So I've
Yeah.
not seen him since 2007 or something. So that was cool. But yeah, so the casting wise, I didn't really get involved in that.
Oh,
But
that sounds right.
no, but I got involved in the casting for the game. So I was picking people for the animals. I was like 70 animals, right? So, but not
Yeah.
the cartoon.
Oh yeah, Franklin Visitor, Mark Thompson.
That's right. Yeah,
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 he's done a few things. I think he's done. I think he's
yeah, yeah.
Megatron in one of the Transformers
Yeah, yeah,
soundtracks.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I just haven't seen him since, as I say, 2007, something like that.
Wow, that must
Mm.
have been nice to see him.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah.
that's awesome. Have you seen any of the rare cast? So sometimes when you come back to the UK, whether it's to visit family or not, do you sometimes see any of the people from Rare, like any
Oh
of the
yeah,
two
no,
Chris's or anything?
no, completely. Like we usually have a curry in Ashby de la Zouch. That's where we always go to because we're in Twycross and everyone's based around there. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's usually it's like 30 people curry, right? So yeah, I mean, I haven't been back. I didn't go back this. I'm not going back this summer 'cause I've got some conventions to do with my family going back, but I usually see them usually once a year. That the kind of the die hard, that we're all still mates together. So yeah,
yeah, that's so funny. I love that.
yeah.
So, working for Playtonic, essentially for the Yooka-Laylee franchise, essentially Playtonic is literally just Rare employees. A lot of them are people who worked at Rare. So, what was it like to sort of come back to the company of
Yeah, it was
Rare?
brilliant. No, absolutely brilliant. I mean, it was, it's a bit like, Banjo-Tooie ended yesterday and we started the next game the day after, right? It was like that.
Yeah.
So, it
Hmm.
felt just like everyone's a bit older and now they've got mortgages, wives and kids, right? Like before we didn't. So it
Yeah.
was the same Mickey taking that existed. It doesn't change one iota from the day we quit Banjo-Tooie. And so it's just like back with your mates again. So yeah, it was fantastic fun to do. So, I mean, I've just been doing the Yuka replay that's coming out sometime this year. I'm not sure when.
Ooh,
So I went back and redid the level tunes with the live orchestra. So that was cool.
that's cool.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure when it's out, but it'll be out this year.
Yeah, I did see on the Wikipedia page it said like TBA, so I was like, is that real
Yeah.
or is that fake? I don't know. But if it
No,
if
it's
it
for
has
real.
actually
No,
come out,
no, it's for real. Yeah, yeah. Mm.
awesome. I think I
Mm.
know what I'll be
No,
having.
it's cool. It's good. It's cool to do. Yeah, I know all those guys. I mean, friends from lots of years ago. So we're all just
Yeah, yeah. Well, that sounds awesome. I
yeah,
cannot
it's
wait
good.
to buy it. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. So, what are you currently like up to now? Aside from obviously your Comic Con appearances, are you producing any other pieces of music for any other video games that you can talk about if you're not under NDA?
So I've just done a game called the Phoenix Gene, which is a VR game. So this is a guy called Michael Kaywood, who was also at Rare back in the day. He moved to
Ooh,
LA a while ago, and he's been working in movies for a long time. He's been the previous supervisor for like Pirates of the Caribbean and
yeah.
Planet of the Apes and these giant blockbusters. So also we did a little movie called The Wrong Rock together. So that's just come out 2 days ago. I'm doing another indie movie for a director called Michael Matteo Rossi. I'm still working on a game called Echoes of Elysium for Loric Games, doing that.
Hmm.
The guys that made the Mario Rabbids games in Ubisoft Milan, the core team quit and formed their own studio called Day for Night Studio. So I'm working on that game, but it's a secret right now. So that's they haven't announced anything about it, but it's super cool. What else am I doing? Oh, got some more stuff for the Kooky Trails boys, of course.
Yeah.
Pieces for that. And I think that's it for now. I think it's enough, isn't it? That's quite a lot in the minute. So yeah,
Yeah, well, I thought maybe we could talk a tiny little bit about Kooky Trails, just
yeah, of
whatever you
course.
can talk about. How did you sort
Yeah.
of get involved with the project, and what really sort of helped you? This also goes for other projects you've done. What makes a good song? Where do you start from composing a song? Like the sort of like, do you look at the tone of the scene or something like that? But first of all, I just want to know how you got involved with Kooky Trails.
I think Max Everett reached out to me a while ago. It was a couple of years ago now, I feel like. And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm interested." And it went quiet, and then it I can't remember a year or so went by, and we got in touch again, and I kind of started working. So, first of all, we've got this main Kooky Trails song, which is um, uh, that Kiki girl. I can't forget her name. What's her name? Kiki
Chi
Chi
Chi,
Chi. What's her name?
Chi Chi,
Forget.
Kelly.
That's Kelly. That's right, Kelly. Yeah, she wrote the lyrics, and I wrote the rest of it. So we're getting a girl to sing it. I think she's called Natalie. That Max spotted at like Universal Studios one night singing in a band. So she's gonna,
Ooh.
but she hasn't recorded it yet. But it's all done. And then I just went on to doing the pre-show animation stuff. I did a couple of those. And then I did some stuff for Christmas for them, which like this kind of advent calendar thing that happened and I wrote some pieces of music for that.
Yes, 'cause I
Yeah,
did some
so
voiceover for that as
yeah,
well.
that was cool. And then I did something else which I can't quite remember. But I'm doing
You're doing the prologue.
yeah, but there's something else I did that. Oh no, yes, so I need to finish the prologue. So they've changed that. There's a bit at the end. I need to add music to the most of it's done just a bit at the end.
Ah,
So
right,
that's yeah,
okay.
just that bit with the saw the other day. And then yeah, so and I went to meet Max and Albert in Riverside where they're based and look I could walk around the dark ride, which is pretty cool. But I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. They seem to
I'm not
be
sure as
changing
well.
their minds, but it was pretty impressive. It's all
It did
kind of
look
built
quite
out.
good. It did
Yeah,
look quite good when I
yeah, it
visited. It was
did.
so magical. Like
Yeah, it looked genuine.
I don't think there wasn't a track when I went. It was like a walkthrough, but I think it would have been nice as a ride, definitely.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they planned it as a track, didn't they? Because there's two cars out the back. They looked amazing.
Yeah,
So who knows? But those guys seem to come up with ideas every 10 minutes. So
they do.
um, yeah, so let's see what's next.
Yeah.
Writing tunes, I feel like, I'm not a really very intellectual composer. I just kind of mess around till I hear something that I like. So I'll load up a sample or, load up a clarinet or I don't know, a synth patch or something like that and try and find a tune or some chords that I like and then go from
Hmm.
there. I just kind of, I guess because I was a staff composer at Rare for 13 years, you
Hmm.
get used to working 9 to 5, right? So a lot of times composers
Yeah.
are a bit like, I need to wait for the inspiration and sit in a darkened room, wait for the hand of the Lord, tell me a song. I'm not like that. I just get on with it. I'm very workmanlike. So, because I've done it at Rare for so many years. So I like to start 8:45-ish. I'll go to
Hmm.
maybe 2 in the afternoon and then have something to eat. I'm always rubbish in the afternoon. Then if I'm busy, I'll do some more at night. That's how I kind of work. But I kind of feel like, I think I've done it so much as my 30th year composing, right? So I feel like,
Wow.
I know, yeah, I'm old, right? So any composer worth the salt these days, I feel like someone says to me it's a frozen ice castle or whatever, I'll be thinking, right, what's spiky and icy in my head? So pizzicato strings, glockenspiel, celeste, that's spiky in my head. It means ice. I'll use that to write the piece. So it's a warm forest. I think, right, I want bassoons and strings and I don't know. So I feel like even before you touch the keyboard, your head's already thinking what it's going to sound like.
You did all of the music for Banjo, right? Like
I did.
even in Tui as well.
I did. I did all
How'd
the sound effects too as well.
let's have a look because there's what was it called? The the Boggy the Bear race. It's the
Right,
sled race. The one that's like
right.
I love that. That's just the
But
funniest.
he's in the first game, isn't he? He's in Banjo-Kazooie, isn't he?
I think he
I
might be
think.
Banjo-Tooie. I don't know. Hold on, I'm gonna have to have a look at this now.
I thought
Banjo-Tooie behind the voice. I don't
I
even.
thought
What's
Boggy
his
the
name?
Bear was in the first game. It's
Let's have a look.
Canary Mary race in the second game.
Oh yeah, it is Canary Mary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's in the second
yeah.
game. It's super hard that people complain about it.
Oh yeah, and then I only had to look online, and I was like, ah, that's how you do it. You have to
Yeah,
go slow and then go thing at the
that's
start.
right. That's the technique. Yeah,
Yeah, he is in the first game. I do
yeah,
apologize, but yeah, just the
yeah.
music that sort of plays during that race is just it's so funny. I love it.
Boggy
I
the
love
Bear
it.
was named. There's a guy at Rare we used to call. He had a really bog brush hair,
Yeah,
so we used to call him Boggy Brush, and then Boggy became the bear in Banjo-Kazooie.
that's so
But
funny. I
he
love
knows
that.
who he is. I won't mention his name, but we used to call him Boggy all the time. So
Buggy, if you're out there, this one's for you. Um, but honestly, just like nuts and bolts, I've got to ask about. You came back for nuts and bolts, didn't you?
I was still there at that time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you
Yeah,
were. You were.
yeah, yeah.
So what was it like? Sort of because like the game had sort of like already changed. Of course, like all the designs had completely changed. And honestly, like it wasn't really well received by fans. But like sort of what was it like? Because you did you do some voice work on that game? Because I did look at you behind the voice actors page, and it didn't. I don't think it mentioned nuts and bolts. So I'm
Yeah, I
not
don't know
entirely
about
sure.
that. I mean, I would imagine. I think Mumbo samples are still in there. I would imagine. I really can't remember. But like, I was just about to leave her at that point, so I did record the music with the orchestra for that game.
Mm,
So and then I left before it came out. So I feel like the thing about that Nuts and Bolts is like it's a good game, but you shouldn't have been Banjo-Kazooie. It should have been another IP because
yeah.
the whole building mechanic, you can build anything you want to build, a submarine, airplanes, and strap engines on them, create these crazy things. It really
Yeah.
predated Minecraft by miles. You know, it was a
Yeah.
complete build what you want. But I guess the fans wanted Banjo 3, right? So, but I think that when we moved over to America in 2008, my son was like 5 or something, 6.
Mhm. Yeah.
So when his mates used to come over to the house, living over here, the only game they wanted to play was Nuts and Bolts because they'd never heard of Banjo-Kazooie. So
Yeah.
they didn't know the past event. They thought building stuff was the best fun ever. So it was bizarre that if you didn't know who the previous iterations of the game were, you would
Hmm.
love Nuts and Bolts. But people
Yeah.
who played the first 2 games wanted like so it was odd. So I feel
Yeah.
like it gets a bad name for that, but I just feel like perhaps it shouldn't have been Banjo-Kazooie because it worked really well as a game. Just people expected the platforming that they didn't get.
Yeah. It was like I remember seeing I remember seeing a meme. It was like it's like your younger years, and it was like OG Banjo, your edgy teenage years, nuts and bolts Banjo, finally getting your shit together as an adult, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate Banjo. So funny, so funny. It says on the Banjo wiki that you voiced the little flower urns that appeared in Mad Monster Mansion. Is this true?
I did. They say
Was
thank
that
you.
you?
Yeah, I did that. Yes.
Wow. Oh, because I remember because like they actually they made me laugh when like I think that I heard it, I was like, oh, that's just I love that.
Yeah, but
But I
that was slightly controversial at the time because Nintendo thought I was saying "f you," so I had to re-record it several times. I said, I wouldn't, as if anybody would say that in a kid's game. I'm just saying thank you, but I did it in a low voice and pitched it down, and they thought it was "f you." I was like, oh my God, who's going to put that in it? So I had to do it several times, and they finally agreed it was thank you. But there you go.
I love that. I love that. It's just literally there's a trivia section on the flower
Yeah,
ants page saying because of the way the flower ants talk, people often mistakenly hear the pot say something else of vulgar nature.
that's
Rareware
right,
has mentioned that this is untrue and the pots merely say thank you.
which is
And it's
completely
just
true.
I
I
just
know,
because I could just hear your voice in my head saying that, and I'm just thinking, wow, yeah, I can definitely.
I know. That was so
I
weird.
I wish, yeah, you weren't credited on behind the voice actors, so I was like,
It's bizarre
I don't
because
know.
some of the things we got into those games that Nintendo didn't spot, were way worse than that. So
Yeah,
I feel like that was a bit that well, that was just what they heard. So
yeah, of course.
mm,
I think one of the last major things I'd like to talk about with you is the Super Mario Brothers movie. Should I say
right,
quote unquote scandal? Well, basically, for those of you at home who do not know, the Super Mario Brothers movie that was released 2 years ago actually featured the DK rap when Donkey Kong is first in the arena with Mario. Um, but in the credits, it says DK rap from Donkey Kong 64. Grant is not credited at all.
I
So
know, terrible.
I want to talk about that. So like, did you find out for yourself or did someone tell you how did you feel and was it ever resolved?
So I know quite like a lot of the kind of influencer people, so over the years, so they get to see test screenings before they actually gets into the wide world. So they're lucky
Mhm.
to get stuff like that. And I know that when Nintendo did, well, not Nintendo, it was Illumination and Universal who did the movie,
Yeah.
under Nintendo's guidance, of course. But so they do. They had test screenings, and there was like all the music in the movie I think was taken from the games. It was all temp music, and they were told that it's all going to come out and Brian Tyler's going to write the score, right? So they all said, yeah, we know that the DK rap's in there. I was like, oh right, so I knew it was in there, but I guessed it was coming out because they would have taken all the music out of the temp and just putting proper music in, right? But I think I don't know whether it was Seth Rogen or somebody, is the DK rap so bad that it's good kind of thing. Thought it was appropriate, so they just literally sampled the tune from the game and looped it. They didn't even re-record it. They just took it straight out of the game, stuck it in. So it's like it's the guys from Rare going DK, all my friends who did the chant.
Yeah.
So all those guys are in the movie too, right? So I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to get credited for this. But then when saw some guys, saw some the later test screen, said, yeah, they haven't credited you. I was like, oh God. So I do. After working on Smash Brothers, I've got a few contacts in Kyoto, the mothership. So I said
Yeah.
to this guy, I said, if you could do a bit of light digging without anybody knowing why they didn't credit me. So a week went by. I said, yeah, I think you're going to get an official response. So I got like a response back from one of the legal people. And they came
Mm.
up with this set of policies, and it was basically went like this. They decided that any music from the games that got quoted in the movie, they wouldn't credit the composer unless it was Koji Kondo. And then they decided anything with a vocal, they would credit the composer. So the DK rap win scores there. But then they decided if we own it, we're not going to credit the composers. So I was like, so I sort of said, by the time the song credits roll in a movie, it's right at the end of the credits, right? The theatre's completely empty and everyone's gone home, apart from me, my wife, and my kids sat there going, look what I did. I said, for the sake of a couple of lines of text, I feel like it's a bit, bloody minded, but Nintendo have got they're a strange beast and they've got very set opinions about how they want to do things. And they're very black and white.
Yeah.
There's no grey area. It's like yes or no. There's nothing in the middle. There's no discussion. It's like either is or it isn't. You know,
Yeah.
a bit like
Yeah.
Yoda. It's a bit like Yoda, do or do not. There is no try. It's a bit like that.
Yeah.
So, and that's the way they are. So I did have I did a bit more contact with them about that. And I was talking about the Q sheet with them too, because I'm not on the Q sheet either.
Mm.
But the Q sheet's blank for those anything that they owned, they left the Q sheet blank, which is like you're not supposed to do that either, really.
Mm.
Um, they actually, yeah, when you're submitting movies for awards, the Q sheet has to be complete. So somebody just typed in Nintendo across the writer and publisher part. Like a corporation can't be a writer. That's how they got away with it, and it was wrong. But yeah, so what can you do? That's the way it goes. You can't
It's
fight those guys.
crazy.
They're just a giant corporation. I'm just me. So I lost
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. It's just
Unfortunate.
I mean, I've heard about the recent story regarding Samantha Kelly, who was the voice of Princess Peach and Toad
Yeah, I
for
know
nearly
her.
20
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, it turns out she's not in the new Mario Kart world. But
Mm.
Nintendo did not tell her that they had recasted her up until the day Mario Kart World was released.
Yeah, I know. I literally
They
met her
told her,
like the last convention that I did in Boise, Idaho. She was there, and I know her husband too, Carlos.
oh, cool.
Yeah, she's super nice. She is, and yeah, I mean she's done it for 18 years for God's sake. Um,
Yeah, which
I don't
makes me
know,
wonder.
just the way
Yeah,
they are.
makes me wonder now, was it Charles Martinet's choice to step down as Mario or was it someone else's? I don't know.
I
But
suspect it wasn't. I suspect it wasn't, but I don't know. They just Nintendo just it's just a different, Japan's such a different culture to the West, and they
yeah.
just behave differently, and that's just the way it is.
I know, yeah, but I mean, someone met Charles Martinet at a convention recently. He does the Mario voice still, but you
Yeah.
can't record him saying talking in the Mario voice, which is
Oh, really?
it's odd. I know.
I
But I
wouldn't
think
have
my
thought. Sorry, I wouldn't have thought there's any kind of legal precedent over that. I
I
can't imagine they
know.
can do anything about that.
He said
That
it's
sounds
now under
bizarre
his
to me.
contract. Yeah, I think ever since he got thinged as Mario, he's not been able to do
Oh,
it because of his
maybe
contract.
if it's in his contract, perhaps.
Mario ambassador,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
maybe they can't. He can't do the voice. Uh,
it's all
because
very, very
no, but
weird.
it'll be like we'll pay you this, but you can't do the voice. I would
Yeah,
suspect.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just appear at this convention. I just find it all
Mm.
so weird. I think it's also because like maybe the games are going non-union now because I think there's a lot of maybe non-union voice actors in the Mario video games now. So I'm not
It could
entirely
be
sure. I
that.
don't know how the
Yeah.
union works. I just live
No.
on this side of the planet.
Yes. Yes. No. And the whole SAG-AFTRA thing is going down right now. The video game
Oh
people are
yeah,
on
the video
strike, aren't
games
they?
they've reached a deal, I think.
Have they?
I think so. That's
Um,
a tentative deal agreement reached. I
I knew the
think.
actors did for the movies. I didn't know the voice actors for the games have done that yet. And maybe
Yeah,
they have. I
yeah,
don't
the
know.
video game. I
Right.
think they've reached an agreement. I'm not sure.
All right. All
Um,
right.
but one last thing I want to know, Grant, is
Yes.
there a fun fact about yourself that not a lot of people know about you? Tell me one fun fact about yourself that not a lot of people
God, I
know
can't.
about
I can't. I think I've divulged everything over the years, even to the most personal level. I think.
you.
I can't think of a fun fact about me. Everyone knows everything about me.
What's
That's
your
the
favorite
thing.
color?
I'm colorblind. That's something.
You're
That,
colorblind.
yeah, I mean, I'm not. It's not like I see in black and white, but I'm deficient in like red and green or something like that. So
Wow, I never
yeah,
knew
so
that.
yeah, so there's that.
Wow.
What else? I've got rods and bolts in my spine. I've had a spine operation in like 2008. I can't think of anything else.
Wow.
I can't
That
think of anything
sounds
else.
cool.
That's about it. Some half
You
cyborg.
really have nuts and bolts inside of you.
I have completely.
Love that. Love
Mm.
that. Wow. Grant, I really don't know what to say. Just thank you so much for talking to me this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you. And hopefully one day we can meet soon, whether it be a convention or when I next fly out to
Yeah, I'm
LA.
sure.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm sort it out for definite. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Right. Where can my viewers and yours, of course,
Right.
find you on the internet? Have you got a website? Have you got any social media?
I'm
Where to
everywhere.
find you?
I'm everywhere. I'm on X. I'm on
Uh-huh.
Instagram. I've got a website, grantkirkhope.com. I'm on
Mhm.
TikTok. I don't do it very much. I think I'm on everything, I think. Just got to go and find it.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll find it for you and
All
I'll
right.
put them in the description. To you at home, thank you so, so much for watching this episode of In Conversation with ATF. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did watching it. So it's goodbye from me and my guest, Grant Kirkhope. Hope you enjoyed watching. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. And
Mm,
cut.